Hello everyone, Chris Ray here, with a brand new series I have dubbed Legend Lens. I had talked about doing this in many videos, but now here it is after a great many delays. Legend Lens is a deep dive into the lives of film stars, directors, authors, game creators, artists, and many more folk I have deemed legends in their particular niche. Our first legend of this series we will be exploring is Mary Pickford, also known as America's Sweetheart, a woman who helped build Hollywood's foundation. Let us introduce her. Born Gladys Louise Smith in 1892 in Toronto, Canada, Mary Pickford would later become America's Sweetheart due to her ability to enchant audiences with her silent film roles. Although she was much more of an actress, unlike many other actresses that would come after her, she was also a producer, a studio founder, and one of the titans who helped co-create United Artists and the Oscars. Mary Pickford's life is a true rags to riches story, as she was born into poverty, and by the age of 7, she began to act to support her mother, Charlotte Smith, and her siblings Lottie and Jack Pickford. Mary began her career with the play The Warrens of Virginia by William D. DeMille. At the Belasco Theater in 1909, April 20th, Mary performs in her first film, which was a small role as a young girl in the short Her First Biscuit, which was directed by D.W. Griffith. She would she would proceed to sign with the Biograph Company and earn $10 per day. Interestingly enough, she'd also meet her future husband and fellow Biograph actor Owen Moore at this point in her life. Also during this period, she starred in as many as 50 shorts by 1910. In 1914, with the release of Tess of the Storm Country, it became the first film that would catapult Mary's career and lead her to global stardom. She would also earn around $10,000 per week by 1916. 1914 is around the time she would also gain the title America's Sweetheart, which was given a term given to her by David Grauman. Mary Pickford, according to the Women's Film Pioneer Project, in the film Tess of a Storm Country, also led to Mary Pickford receiving fan worship, which by this point in the film industry was unheard of. In 1918, by 1919, Mary, alongside Chaplin, Griffith, and Fairbanks, would found United Artists, and during this very same year, Mary would create the Mary Pickford Company, which devoted to exclusively producing films distributed by United Artists. March 28th, 1920, Mary and Douglas Fairbanks would marry in a rather intimate ceremony at the Glendale, California home of Reverend J. Whitcomb Brewer, and would move into a converted hunting lodge in Beverly Hills, which was owned by Fairbanks. This residence would be nicknamed the Pick Fair. March 15th, 1933, we would see Mary's final film titled Secrets, in which, interestingly enough, was the same week that President Roosevelt would close the banks. Much like all the films of that week, Secrets would perform poorly at the box office. It was likely Mary's final film due to the fact that she, like many other actors of this time, and actresses, of course, could not adapt to the changing times, the rise of the sound films. Also, in this year, by December 8th, Mary would sue Douglas for divorce, and she would later appear in the play The Church Mouse at New York City's Paramount Theater on Broadway. By January 10th of 1936, Mary and Douglas's divorce would be final. By 1940s, Mary became rather reclusive, not doing much during this time period, except becoming a co-founder of a Society of Independent Motion Pictures, also called SIMP. She would also adopt 2 children and would have a new husband, although she married him back in 1937. She would also found PBS, no, not that one, Pickford, Rogers, and Boyd, with her husband and Malcolm Boyd. Mary Pickford lived a very quiet life in her later years, often battling health issues, which made her reclusive at her Pickfair estate. She would pass away on May 29th of 1979, at the age of 87. In 1976, Mary was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Oscar, which recognized her as a founder and pioneer. Her films. This list shows off Mary's most important films during her lifetime, which ensured her dominance during the sound era, but also includes her first talking film as well. This would include The Poor Little Rich Girl, in 1917, where Pickford played a neglected child from a wealthy family. The film was a major hit and solidified her screen image as the plucky, innocent girl who perseveres despite many hardships. Stella Maris, 1918. She gave a dual performance, the beautiful but sheltered Stella and a deformed orphan Unity. This showed her depth as an actress and proved she could play complex and contrasting roles. Pollyanna, 1920. One of her most famous roles, Pollyanna epitomized her sunny personality, or rather, persona. The story of an orphan who spreads optimism was a cultural sensation and reinforced her status as America's sweetheart. Test of a Storm, Country, 1922, the remake. A remake of her 1914 success. This film displayed her dramatic intensity as a poor but determined young woman. It became one of her biggest box office hits and confirmed her as a Hollywood top star. Sparrows, 1926, often considered her masterpiece. This dark, atmospheric drama about children held captive in a swamp showcased her bravery and her artistry. Excuse me. It's widely seen as her as her finest silent film. And finally, Coquette, 1929, her first talking picture, where she shed her childlike persona to play a stubborn belle who was quite flirty. Many critics were quite divided, but despite this, she won an Academy Award for Best Actress, making her successful transition into sound. One moment. Here is some trivia about Mary Pickford. Mary was number 24 on the American Film Institute's 50 Greatest Screen Legends. Her last silent film was a romance comedy, My Best Girl, 1927. One of her happiest memories as a child was living in Toronto. Mary would rent a bicycle for 10 cents and loved riding up and down University Avenue. On her 8th birthday, her mother surprised her with a bicycle of her own. Mary Pickford is arguably the silent era's most renowned female star. The film historian Ethan Katz would go as far as to call her the most popular star in screen history. She was made to have her big screen comeback as Vinnie in Life with Father in 1947. But the role would eventually go to Irene Dunne because of Dunne's box office appeal. Mary is of English and Irish ancestry. By 1917, Mary earned $1 million a year, which is equivalent to $12 to $20 million today. It makes her one of the highest paid women ever. Why they are a legend. Mary went above and beyond her in her life, from a poor girl from Toronto to a juggernaut in the silent era. She left her mark in so many ways and set the standard for what a female actress should be, and not just actors in general, but women too. She wasn't just an actor. As I said early on, she was also a producer and studio founder. She even went to found her own company and cosmetic products as well. She, along with her male colleagues, Chaplin, Fairbanks, and Griffith, created United Artists to ensure that actors could control their own financial and artistic interests. Instead of being controlled by these commercialized in studios, which were a really big problem at the time. That's why they even did this. Like, oh no, we can't have this happening, you know? Another very important thing about Mary is the fact that she cared about preservation, and due to her work at the Academy and her own private film preservation efforts, her influence can still be felt today. She was many things, a star, a mogul, and most of all, a visionary who helped build Hollywood. This has been a journey I honestly did not think I would actually take, but I enjoyed every step of the way. I will write all my sources in a description, of course. Especially the Mary Pickford Foundation. That was such a big help for me. She was the pinnacle of what a girl boss should aim to be. And so many people around then, you know, for females especially, there were so few who were trying to be just like her. And I think it's so inspirational for women. She had the talent, the grit, and most of all, the vision to change film, and she did just that. Of course, I'm very curious about what you guys think. What's your opinion on Mary? Got any favorite moments? At any rate, I hope you all enjoyed this, and please do come back for more. I have plenty of things brewing in the background, and please subscribe for more. See you guys next time.